Gemini, what the Akashic Records reveal about your soul's true purpose. There comes a moment in every Gemini's life when the questions become louder than the answers. You may find yourself asking, why am I here? What am I truly meant to do with all these gifts, curiosities, and contradictions? Beneath your laughter and quicksilver mind, there is a deeper hunger, a longing to understand the blueprint of your soul, the truth hidden beyond the surface. And this truth is not written in the expectations of the world or the labels others give you. It is woven into the Akashic Records, the sacred library of every soul's journey across lifetimes. For Gemini, whose spirit moves like wind across worlds, the records reveal not only your purpose, but also the wisdom behind your duality. To live as Gemini is to feel pulled in many directions, to embody both light and shadow, to dance between multiple passions while others may walk a single road. Sometimes this feels like a blessing, other times like a burden. But when viewed through the lens of the Akashic Records, it becomes clear. Your duality was never meant to divide you, but to awaken you to a higher purpose. Your soul came here to be a messenger, a weaver of stories, a bridge between realms of thought, culture, and consciousness. You were not designed to choose one identity. You were designed to live many, and in doing so, to remind humanity of its interconnectedness. In this exploration, we will journey into the hidden wisdom of the records to uncover the deeper reasons behind your restlessness, your insatiable curiosity, and your gift of communication. Together, we will see how each lifetime has prepared you for this one, how your choices across time have sculpted the Gemini archetype within you, and how your true purpose is not about limiting yourself, but liberating yourself into wholeness. So let us walk softly into this ancient library of the soul, and as we turn the pages, may you discover not just who you are, but who you have always been. And if these insights stir something in your heart, I warmly invite you to like, share, or subscribe, so the circle of wisdom can continue to expand and reach the souls who are also seeking their true path. When we open the Akashic Records for Gemini, the first truth that emerges is that your soul was never meant to be confined to one lifetime, one role, or even one way of being. Gemini carries within it the archetype of the traveler between worlds. In past incarnations, you may have lived as a storyteller moving from village to village, the scholar whose curiosity bridged different schools of thought, the translator who wove connections between cultures, or even the mystic whose voice carried messages from unseen realms. Across time, your essence has been preparing for a singular mission, to hold multiplicity without losing the thread of unity. This is why your mind often feels restless, why you hunger for variety, why you resist the idea of a singular path. Your duality is not a defect. It is a sacred imprint from lifetimes where you learn to embody both sides of experience. In one life, you may have been a healer working in solitude, and in another, a diplomat negotiating between nations. The records reveal that these contrasting experiences are not contradictions, but training grounds. Each lifetime added another layer to your soul's tapestry, equipping you to step into this present incarnation with the ability to move between perspectives with ease. The Akashic field shows that one of Gemini's recurring lessons is the challenge of scattering energy. Across lifetimes, you have sometimes left projects unfinished or relationships unresolved because your soul was already racing ahead to the next adventure. Yet even this is not failure. It is part of your training. You were learning how to taste many flavors of existence, so that in this lifetime, you could learn the art of weaving them together. The records whisper that your true mastery is not about doing less, but about integrating more. When you see your life not as fragmented pieces, but as chapters of the same book, the anxiety of incompletion dissolves. Everything you've touched carries meaning, even if it seems unfinished in the moment. One recurring soul pattern for Gemini is the search for voice. In many incarnations, your gift of communication was silenced, perhaps by societal restrictions, persecution, or inner doubt. The records show scenes of Geminis who lived in times when truth-tellers were punished, when curiosity was seen as rebellion, and when connection was dangerous. In such lives, you may have hidden your voice, afraid of its power. But those wounds also became wisdom. They remind you in this lifetime that your words are not to be wasted on gossip or noise, but used as instruments of awakening. Every story you tell, every insight you share, carries an echo of the soul contracts you made long ago, to speak for those who cannot, to connect threads others cannot see, to reveal the wisdom hidden between the lines of ordinary life. The Akashic Records also reveal that Gemini's soul has a sacred relationship with movement. Unlike other signs that root deeply into one place, Gemini is often incarnated in lifetimes filled with travel, migration, and change. Your spirit thrives on movement because each new environment mirrors another facet of your inner world. Yet there's also a deeper purpose here. Movement teaches you that truth is never absolute, that wisdom shifts depending on where you stand. By living many lives in many places, you learn to dissolve rigid boundaries of identity, culture, and belief. In this lifetime, that training becomes your superpower. You are here to remind humanity that truth is not singular, but multifaceted, like a diamond whose brilliance emerges only when viewed from many angles. To illustrate, imagine the life of a Gemini soul who once lived as a monk, devoting themselves to silence and meditation. In another life, they may have been a merchant, constantly negotiating, bargaining, and storytelling in crowded marketplaces. On the surface, these lives appear opposite: silence and noise, solitude and community. But in the Akashic view, they are complementary. The monk taught your soul the value of inner stillness. The merchant taught you the art of connection. In this life, you carry both. This is why you crave moments of solitude, even while thriving in social circles. It is not contradiction. It is integration of lifetimes. Another theme the records highlight is Gemini's role as soul pollinator. Just as bees move from flower to flower, cross-pollinating and allowing gardens to bloom, Gemini souls are designed to move between people, ideas, and fields of knowledge, carrying sparks of inspiration wherever they go. You may not always stay long in one place, but your presence plants seeds. A conversation, a story, a suggestion. What seems small to you may shift another person's entire trajectory. The records remind you, your purpose is not always to finish the harvest, but to scatter the seeds that others will nurture. This can feel challenging in a world that measures success by permanence and completion, but in the higher view, your role is just as vital. Without the pollinator, no garden could flourish.
To live your true purpose as revealed in the records, you are called to embrace 3 spiritual techniques. First, listening to the inner twin, the dual voices within you that are often at odds. Instead of forcing one to dominate, allow both to speak and seek the harmony between them. Second, conscious anchoring, rituals that remind you of your wholeness when you feel scattered. This could be as simple as a daily mantra or as profound as working with Akashic meditation to reconnect with your soul's wisdom. And third, sacred storytelling, using your voice, writing, art, or presence to share insights in a way that uplifts others. These techniques transform your duality from a source of confusion into a compass pointing toward your soul's true purpose. The Akashic Records affirm, Gemini's soul came to this lifetime not to choose one world over another, but to stand at the threshold of many and weave them together. Your purpose is not to resolve the tension of duality, but to embody it gracefully, to show others that wholeness does not mean sameness, but integration. When you remember this, every part of your restless energy becomes holy, and every piece of your story becomes a doorway to light. The Akashic Records reveal that Gemini's soul carries not only gifts but also karmic lessons, echoes of unfinished business from lifetimes past. Where there is light, there is always shadow, and the shadow for Gemini often takes the form of scattering, superficiality, and doubt about one's true path. These are not punishments, they are invitations. Each challenge is a door, and when opened with awareness, it leads you closer to your soul's highest purpose. One of the clearest patterns the records reveal for Gemini is the fear of commitment. Across lifetimes, you may have been the traveler who never stayed in one place, the seeker who abandoned one discipline for another, the lover who moved on too quickly, or the visionary who left projects incomplete. These experiences were not mistakes, they were training. Your soul was learning breadth before depth, exposure before mastery. But in this lifetime, the lesson is to integrate. You are no longer asked to choose one thing forever, but to bring enough presence to each experience so that it ripens into wisdom before you move on. The records show that your purpose is not to be tied down, but neither is it to run endlessly. It is to dance between freedom and responsibility with grace. Another karmic theme is the misuse of words. In past lives, Gemini's quick tongue and sharp mind were sometimes used for manipulation, gossip, or evasion. You may have learned how to outwit others, to bend truth for personal gain, or to hide behind words when honesty felt dangerous. This has left karmic imprints that in this lifetime may show up as misunderstandings, miscommunications, or feeling unheard despite speaking much. But the records remind us, wounds carry the seeds of healing. Your true purpose is to reclaim language as sacred, to use your words not as weapons but as bridges. When you speak truth with integrity, your voice becomes medicine, healing not only yourself but everyone who listens. The records also reveal a pattern of restlessness without direction. In some lifetimes, Gemini's curiosity became distraction, leading to lives where many paths were started but few were completed. This is why, in this lifetime, you may feel a constant push and pull, the hunger to explore versus the guilt of not finishing. The records gently remind you that this cycle can be broken by a shift in perspective. Instead of measuring your worth by completion, measure it by connection. Ask, how does this experience connect me to a deeper understanding? How does it serve my soul's growth or the collective good? When you live by connection rather than completion, your restlessness becomes purposeful. Consider an example. A Gemini soul in one lifetime may have studied medicine but abandoned it for philosophy, then turned to politics, never mastering one field. On the surface, this looks like failure. But the Akashic view reveals something different. Each shift gave the soul new perspectives, compassion from medicine, wisdom from philosophy, leadership from politics. In this lifetime, those fragments come together. Perhaps the Gemini becomes a holistic healer, blending science, philosophy, and activism into one integrated purpose. What looked scattered across lifetimes is revealed as preparation for mastery in the present. Another karmic thread the records highlight is the relationship with truth and illusion. Geminis are masters of perception, able to see reality from multiple angles. But in past lives, this gift sometimes slipped into trickery or self-deception. You may have created masks to survive, shape-shifting to fit in, or convincing yourself of half-truths to avoid pain. These habits can echo into this lifetime as identity confusion, never quite knowing who you really are. Yet here lies the seed of your sacred mission, to embrace multiplicity without losing authenticity. The Akashic Records remind you that your many faces are not lies. They are facets of a greater jewel. Your task is not to pick one and discard the rest, but to polish them all so that together they reflect the light of your true essence. The records also speak of unfinished soul contracts. Many Geminis carry agreements from past lives to share knowledge, connect communities, or bridge cultures, but those missions were cut short. You may feel in this lifetime a mysterious urgency, as though time is running out, as though you must do everything at once. This urgency is not meant to paralyze you. It is your soul's memory pushing you to complete what was left undone. When you honor this call, you find yourself drawn to roles of teaching, communication, or creative expression, fulfilling contracts that span across centuries. To navigate these karmic lessons, the records offer 3 guiding practices. First, integration over abandonment. When you feel the urge to move on, pause long enough to harvest the wisdom of the experience before leaving it behind. Second, truth-telling as healing. Make honesty with yourself and others a daily ritual, even when it feels uncomfortable. Third, soul-centered curiosity. Explore not to escape but to expand, asking always how each new interest serves your higher purpose. In real life, this might look like a Gemini teacher who resists staying in one job for too long. Instead of seeing this as instability, they integrate each teaching role into a greater calling. Every class, every student, every subject becomes part of their soul's curriculum. Or a Gemini artist who experiments with many mediums, painting, music, poetry. But instead of feeling guilty for switching, they weave them together into a multisensory project that touches hearts in ways a single medium never could. Thus, the Akashic Records show that Gemini's true purpose is not to eliminate restlessness, but to sanctify it. Your challenges, fear of commitment, misuse of words, scattered curiosity, are not curses, but karmic invitations to mastery. When embraced, they refine you into the messenger you were always meant to be, a soul who gathers fragments of wisdom across lifetimes and threads them into a vision of unity for the world.
If the first revelations of the Akashic Records show you the patterns of your soul, then the next step is learning how to work with the records to bring those truths into your daily life. For Gemini, whose energy thrives on motion and curiosity, the records are not meant to be static. They are meant to be lived, breathed, and embodied. By actively engaging with the sacred library, you begin to transform your restless searching into aligned action, turning the fragments of your life into a coherent story that radiates meaning. One of the most powerful ways for Gemini to engage the records is through sacred questioning. Your mind is wired to ask, to probe, to explore. In past lives, this curiosity often drew you into philosophy, science, or storytelling. In this life, the Akashic Records invite you to refine your questions, so they open doorways instead of scattering energy. Instead of asking, "What should I do with my life?" which is too broad and overwhelming, you might ask, "What pattern is repeating in my relationships that I need to integrate?" Or, "What gift from a past life is asking to be expressed now?" These focused questions turn your curiosity into a compass, guiding you toward alignment with your soul's path. Another practice is recorded reflection. Because Gemini's mind moves quickly, insights can be fleeting, brilliant in one moment and gone the next. By keeping a journal or voice recorder specifically for Akashic insights, you honor your downloads as sacred messages. Over time, patterns emerge. You may notice recurring themes, communication, teaching, healing, movement, that point directly to your soul's true purpose. What seemed like scattered notes begin to form a symphony of meaning. Meditation, too, takes on a unique flavor for Gemini. Traditional stillness may feel difficult for a restless mind, but Akashic meditation can be approached dynamically. Visualization journeys, guided by breath and imagination, allow you to enter the records in a way that feels natural to your energy. Imagine walking through a great library, guided to a book that carries a story of your current life. As you open its pages, symbols, images, or words may appear, each carrying guidance for your present challenges. This method transforms meditation from a struggle into an adventure, where your curiosity becomes a key that unlocks deeper wisdom. Working with the records also helps Gemini resolve the tension between multiplicity and purpose. Many Geminis fear that they are too scattered to ever find their calling, but the records show that your purpose is not linear. It is a web. You are not meant to choose one identity and abandon the rest. You are meant to weave them together. The Akashic Records help you identify the thread that runs through all your passions. For some Geminis, that thread may be communication. For others, it may be connection or healing or innovation. Once you see the thread, everything you do aligns around it, no matter how many different directions you explore. Take, for example, a Gemini who feels torn between careers in writing, teaching, and counseling. The records might reveal that their soul's true purpose is to translate wisdom, to take complex truths and make them accessible. With this clarity, they see that writing, teaching, and counseling are not separate paths, but different expressions of the same purpose. Instead of feeling scattered, they feel integrated. Their multitasking becomes an orchestration of one soul mission. The records also remind Gemini of the importance of energetic hygiene. Because your aura is open and your mind receptive, you may unconsciously absorb energies that are not yours, ideas, emotions, or even karmic imprints from others. This can cloud your connection to the records and make you doubt your insights. Simple practices like grounding meditations, cleansing baths, or visualizing light around your body help you stay clear, so the wisdom you receive is truly your own. In doing so, you learn to distinguish between distraction and divine guidance. Another transformative practice is soul dialogue. In the records, you can call forth the presence of guides, ancestors, or even past life versions of yourself. For Gemini, this is especially powerful because it honors your duality. You no longer need to suppress the many voices within. You can give them a seat at the table. Imagine sitting with a past life healer who reminds you the importance of balance, or a past life traveler who encourages you to trust change. By listening to these aspects of yourself, you integrate their wisdom into your present life, creating harmony between your many selves. The Akashic Records also help Gemini heal the fear of not enough. Across lifetimes, you may have been told you were too changeable, too shallow, too restless. These wounds linger, making you doubt your worth. But the records reveal the deeper truth. You were given wings for a reason. Your purpose is not to root yourself like a tree, but to flow like the wind, carrying seeds of inspiration from place to place. When you internalize this, your restlessness transforms into service. Every conversation, every idea, every story becomes part of your soul's offering to the world. Ultimately, working with the records teaches Gemini that purpose is not found. It is remembered. You are not searching for something outside yourself. You are remembering who you have always been across lifetimes. And as you integrate this remembrance, you begin to see that your duality is not division but completion. You are not one or the other. You are both and more. The records are simply the mirror that reflects your wholeness back to you. This is the gift of Gate 3. Learning to walk with the records not as an external authority, but as a living dialogue with your soul. By asking sacred questions, recording insights, practicing dynamic meditation, maintaining energetic clarity, and listening to your many voices, you transform the chaos of duality into harmony of purpose. And when this happens, your life no longer feels like a collection of scattered experiences, but like a sacred book written across lifetimes, each page carrying the signature of your true self. The Akashic Records do not simply reveal purpose as an abstract idea. They show how your soul's mission must be lived, embodied, and expressed in the very fabric of daily life. For Gemini, this embodiment requires a balance of presence and movement, of grounding and expansion. Your purpose cannot remain locked in a realm of thought. It asks to breathe through your words, your choices, your relationships, and your work. It asks you to live as a bridge between inner and outer, spirit and matter, self and other. One of the most important areas where your Akashic purpose comes alive is in relationships. Gemini's soul is designed for connection, but connection can easily become surface level if not infused with intention. In past lifetimes, you may have skimmed the surface of many relationships, always moving on, never staying long enough to experience depth. This pattern may echo in this lifetime as difficulty with commitment or fear of being trapped. Yet the records reveal a higher calling. You are meant to be a teacher presence within relationship. This does not mean you must attach forever, but that each bond, no matter how brief, is an opportunity to embody authenticity. When you listen deeply, speak truthfully, and honor each person as a mirror of the soul, you transform relationships from distractions into sacred encounters. To practice this, consider bringing mindfulness into conversations. Instead of rushing to the next thought or planning your reply, pause and let yourself be fully present with the person in front of you. Notice their tone, their energy, the unspoken spaces between their words. In this simple act, your communication becomes a form of healing. You show others that true connection does not require permanence. It requires presence. This is how your Akashic purpose as a messenger and bridge is expressed in love, friendship, and community. Work and vocation are another stage where Gemini must embody their purpose. The records often show Gemini souls struggling with careers that demand linear progress or rigid roles. Your spirit withers in environments that confine you to repetition or limit your creativity. Instead, your true purpose flourishes in paths that allow variety, flexibility, and communication. Teaching, writing, counseling, entrepreneurship, media, and healing arts are all fertile grounds for Gemini souls. But the deeper truth is that it is not about what you do, it is about how you do it. When you approach your work as an act of translation, taking ideas, experiences, or wisdom and making them accessible, you fulfill your Akashic role as a messenger. For example, a Gemini nurse may find that their real gift is not just administering medicine, but explaining complex treatments in a way patients can understand. A Gemini entrepreneur may realize their magic is not in building one product, but in networking, bringing people together, and sparking collaborations. In every vocation, the soul's thread is communication, translation, and connection. When you embody this, Even the most ordinary job becomes a vehicle for your Akashic purpose. Daily life, too, is a temple where your records unfold. The way you multitask, the way you move between tasks, the way you bring curiosity into routine. These are all expressions of your soul's design. The challenge is to live consciously, to see that even small choices ripple with meaning. Cooking a meal while listening to music, walking while brainstorming, journaling while sipping tea. These are not distractions, but reflections of your gift to hold multiple streams at once. When done with awareness, multitasking becomes a spiritual practice, a reminder that your soul is not bound by linear limits but dances between dimensions. The records also reveal that Gemini's embodiment requires integration of opposites. This means consciously honoring both your light and shadow. Your light, wit, curiosity, adaptability, connection. Your shadow, indecision, overthinking, inconsistency. Too often, you may try to suppress the shadow, feeling shame for not being more grounded or focused. But the records remind you that integration, not suppression, is the key. Your indecision teaches patience. Your overthinking sharpens discernment. Your inconsistency becomes flexibility when guided by intention. By embracing both sides of your nature, you embody the wholeness that is your true purpose. On a spiritual level, Gemini's embodiment often includes practices of ritual and rhythm. The records show that your soul benefits from creating gentle structures that ground your freedom. Morning rituals, evening reflections, or weekly spiritual practices give your energy a home base, a center of gravity. Without rhythm, your days scatter. With rhythm, your wings strengthen. These rituals need not be rigid. Indeed, they should be light and adaptable. Even 10 minutes of journaling or breath work each day can anchor your energy, so that your many pursuits do not overwhelm you, but flow from a place of coherence. Community is another sphere where Gemini embodies purpose. You are often a connector in groups, the one who introduces people, sparks conversations, and keeps ideas flowing. The records affirm that this is no small role. It is sacred. Communities thrive because of those who carry the threads between individuals, weaving them into a greater whole. Whether in families, workplaces, or spiritual circles, Gemini embodies purpose by holding the web of connection. Even when you are not the leader, you are often the glue. Recognizing this role brings both pride and responsibility, reminding you that your gift of communication is also a gift of stewardship. Perhaps the most profound way Gemini embodies their Akashic purpose is through storytelling. Across lifetimes, your soul has gathered countless stories, personal experiences, cultural myths, and universal truths. In this lifetime, you are asked to share them. Through writing, speaking, art, or even casual conversation, your stories carry medicine. They remind others that life is not linear, that truth has many sides, and that wisdom can be found in unexpected places. When you tell your stories with vulnerability and intention, you fulfill your soul contract as a messenger. Thus, embodiment for Gemini is not about narrowing your life, but sanctifying it. Every relationship becomes a mirror, every job a channel, every daily act a ritual, every story a teaching. When you live this way, your soul's purpose is no longer a mystery hidden in the records. It becomes a rhythm of your everyday existence. And in this embodiment, your restless energy finds peace, not by choosing one path, but by weaving many into a radiant whole. The Akashic Records remind us that Gemini's true purpose is not just personal. It is collective. You did not incarnate with restless energy, insatiable curiosity, and quicksilver communication skills simply to navigate your own life. You came as a messenger, a pollinator wisdom, a soul designed to carry truths across boundaries, so that humanity may remember its interconnectedness. This is where your Akashic calling transcends the individual and blossoms into service for the greater good. Gemini's service begins with sharing. Your words, ideas, and stories are not meant to remain locked inside your mind. In past lives, when you silence yourself, entire communities lost access to the light you carried. That karmic memory often lingers as a fear of speaking up in this lifetime. Fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of saying the wrong thing. But the records show that your voice was never meant for perfection. It was meant for resonance. When you speak from authenticity, even if imperfectly, your words carry frequency. They awaken something in others, reminding them of truths they have forgotten. This is your medicine. Beyond sharing words, Gemini's collective role is bridging divides. Humanity often fractures into polarities, different cultures, beliefs, or perspectives at odds with one another. Your soul's dual nature is the antidote. This makes you a natural mediator, teacher, or innovator. When others argue, you translate. When others separate, you connect. The Akashic Records reveal that this bridging capacity is not accidental. It is your soul contract. You incarnated in times of division precisely to help weave the threads of unity. Service also comes through teaching by example. Many people struggle with change, fearing instability. But your life, when lived consciously, demonstrates that multiplicity is not weakness but strength. By embodying your many passions, by shifting paths without shame, by holding space for contradictions, you become a living lesson that wholeness is not uniformity but integration. The records affirm that simply by being yourself fully, you liberate others from the illusion that they must choose one identity forever. In this way, you are a teacher without preaching, a guide without force. The records also highlight innovation as a collective role for Gemini. Because you draw from many fields, you are often the one who sees connections others overlook. A Gemini scientist may bridge art and technology, creating solutions that transform lives. A Gemini healer may combine psychology with spiritual practice, offering holistic care. A Gemini artist may blend cultures, creating new languages of beauty. These innovations arise not despite your multitasking, but because of it. The records remind you, your gift of seeing connections is the seed of collective progress. Another layer of service is holding space for dialogue. In communities, workplaces, or families, Gemini often becomes the one who sparks conversation. This may seem casual, but the records show its deeper meaning. Dialogue is a birthplace of understanding, and understanding is the soil of peace. Each time you ask questions, encourage others to speak, or introduce new perspectives, you create a container where truth can emerge. You may not always resolve conflict, but you plant the seeds of empathy. In this way, your service is subtle yet profound. On a spiritual level, Gemini's collective role is that of messenger between realms. Many Geminis are drawn to channeling, mediumship, or intuitive communication because your soul remembers lifetimes spent as a bridge between seen and unseen worlds. Even if you do not practice esoteric arts, your dreams, insights, and sudden flashes of knowing often carry guidance from beyond. The records affirm that when you honor these messages, by writing them down, sharing them, or embodying them, you fulfill your role as a cosmic translator. You bring the whispers of the invisible into the fabric of daily life. Yet the records also caution, service requires discernment. Not every idea is meant to be shared. Not every connection is yours to maintain. Not every role is yours to play. Gemini's challenge is not lack of purpose, but too many possibilities. Here, your practice becomes listening deeply to resonance. Ask, does this opportunity expand me or deplete me? Does this conversation uplift or scatter my energy? Does this path align with my soul's thread of communication and connection? When you serve from resonance, your energy becomes magnified rather than drained. To embody this collective purpose, the record suggests 3 spiritual commitments for Gemini. First, devotion to truth. Not rigid truth, but the deeper truth that emerges when all voices are heard. Second, commitment to connection, to keep weaving even when the world fractures. And third, service through presence, remembering that you do not need to solve everything. Sometimes your role is simply to be there, holding the space where light can enter. Real-world examples abound. Think of writers, leaders, or creators whose Gemini essence carried messages across time. Their voices did not just entertain, they awakened. Their ideas did not just inform, they connected. Their curiosity did not just serve themselves. It expanded the collective imagination. This is the essence of your Akashic purpose, to transform your personal gifts into offerings to the world. And so, in the records, Gemini is revealed not just as the restless twin, but as the eternal messenger, the cosmic storyteller, the sacred pollinator of wisdom. Your service is not to choose one truth, but to remind us that truth has many voices. Your gift is not to silence your restlessness, but to turn it into rhythm. Your purpose is not only to live fully for yourself, but to serve as a mirror, showing humanity that unity is not sameness, but the harmonious dance of many parts. As we close the Akashic Book of Gemini's soul, one truth lingers like a soft echo. You were never meant to walk a single road. Your spirit was born to wander between paths, to carry fragments of wisdom from one world into another, and to remind humanity that wholeness is not uniformity, but integration. The restlessness you have felt, the duality you have wrestled with, the countless passions and contradictions that have colored your journey, these are not obstacles to overcome, but signs of your sacred design. The Akashic Records reveal that your purpose is not a single destination waiting to be found, but a living rhythm that you embody each day. It is the way you weave your curiosity into connection, your words into healing, your duality into balance. It is the way you turn incompletion into seeds and seeds into gardens. Your soul's path is not linear, and it never needed to be. Like the wind, you are meant to flow, to cross-pollinate, to leave whispers of inspiration wherever you go. And so, Gemini, the invitation is simple yet profound. Trust your design. Honor your questions. Speak your truth. Embrace your cycles. Weave your many selves into one luminous whole. You do not need to become someone else to fulfill your purpose. You need only to remember who you have always been across lifetimes. The messenger, the storyteller, the bridge, the light bearer between worlds. As you carry this remembrance forward, may you see your restlessness not as a flaw, but as a compass, guiding you toward the places where your soul is needed most. May you find peace not in choosing one path, but in walking many with presence. And may your voice, your curiosity, your laughter, and your love ripple outward as blessings, reminding others that the human spirit was never meant to be confined, but to dance in infinite forms of truth. If these words resonate with you, I warmly invite you to share your reflections in the comments. Your story may be the spark that awakens another soul. And together, we weave the great constellation of wisdom, where no voice is lost and every Gemini heart shines as a guiding star.